Hey guys, it's the Archdruid Demo Man here, back with another guide. I don't know if anybody actually calls me that, but you guys voted for it. You wanted a DemiGod guide for Druid, so I'm going to give it to you. It's going to be a long video, but I promise it is well thought out. You can see I am DemiGod. I'm not just shooting the shit. I did do it on Druid. I'm working on other Druids. I'm doing it on my alts as well, just for fun. But, you know, people sleep on this class, man. You know, Ryan 6 days a week just put out a great DemiGod guide. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you've seen that one as well. I took it kind of as an insult for all Druids when he was talking about good classes and he didn't even mention Druid. When you look at the leaderboard, and Shinakanoko, or whatever his name is, was in first place for almost the entire season. He was only just passed up by a Warlock because Shinakanoko hasn't played for a fucking week. It took him a week for second place to pass him up. So Druid was on the top of the leaderboard for the entire season up until like a day ago. So why do people sleep on this? I'll tell you why. It's hard to play. It's difficult to get into. But it's one of the most rewarding, and I would argue the fastest grind to DemiGod. Today, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to talk about the benefits of being a Druid. I'm going to talk about what maps you can play. Spoiler, it's all of them. I'm going to talk about different places you can go as a Druid, different things you can do as a Druid, the map clear as a Druid, how to min-max your AP. I'm going to talk about PvP. Every other DemiGod guide that I've seen so far has basically said, be a little bitch and run away from PvP. This guy's not going to be like that, guys. You're going to take some PvP. You're actually going to hunt it down a little bit because he ain't no bitch. Right? I mean, you might be a bitch, but I ain't no bitch. So let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is some specific benefits you get from being a Druid. Number one, map traversal. You can cross the map better than anybody. This frost map right here is a pain in the dick to navigate if you're not a Druid. That is an extremely Druid-friendly map. I'll talk a lot more about that later, but just the benefits of being able to cross any module you want in seconds, being able to cross the boss room in Inferno, regardless of what boss is in there. You get to pick which modules you want to clear, and you can often beat other players to those modules. If you want to get to the temple in Crypts to kill all the bats super fast because they're worth a ton of AP, you're gonna be the fastest one to get there unless you get like super screwed with your spawn. Other things, the PvE clear and the mini boss clear times are the fastest in the game. There is a lot of mobs that you can go cheese. You know, if you have problems with berserkers and stuff like that, you can cheese them with the spear. So you have that cheese option, especially while you're learning how to play Druid. You don't want to be doing that kind of stuff like on the fly with a really expensive gear set. But if you're playing bear form, you can just straight up box almost every mob in the game. Some of them are more risky, like Nightmare Berserkers and Nightmare Centaurs and stuff like that can be a little bit scary. But you can just box out everything in the game. You don't have to drag it somewhere and cheese it. You can just burn it down. So your clear times are insane. With the amount of strength that you have, the amount of damage that you're doing, 330 damage with no buffs, you're one-shotting a lot of red mobs. You're one-shotting goblins. You're one-shotting kobolds. Your clear time is extremely fast. You can kill giants on the ice map in under 10 seconds by just right-clicking. Right? People sleep on this. They have no idea how good Druid can be at just racking up those mob kills. Another benefit is the ability to escape from fights that you don't want to take. It's not always going to be the case, but most of the time, if you don't like a situation that you're in, you can just leave that situation. That applies to PvE as well. On the ice map, if you have a bunch of stacks of frost, you can just turn into a rat and wait them off. There's most of the mobs, not all of them, but a lot of the mobs can't even hit you. Yetis can't hit you. Mummies can't hit you. I'm going to put out a rat guide talking about all the mobs in the game that just straight up can't hit you when you're in rat form. So huge benefit there of being able to just exit bad situations. Super, super important when you're grinding for DemiGod. Another benefit is being able to cheese mobs in certain spots that other classes can't. Rogue has double jump. Nobody else does except for you. Like on the ice map, again, I referenced that one a lot, but you can jump up on the walls and cheese entire packs of wolves with a spear, hitting often 2, 3, 4 wolves at a time. Again, extremely fast clear times here. Lock picking and skipping stuff. So the double jump also gives you access to Lion's Chest and Golden Chest that you normally wouldn't have access to, so these other classes can't even contest, and there's not a rogue out there running double jump in High Roller, so all of these chests, unless there's another Druid on the map, they're free for you. And then there's other things like on Crypts, the Northeast module with the Wraith in it. You've got all those locked jail cells with the chests behind them. The chests are always unlocked. The devs changed it because they don't want people to burn through 2 lockpicks to access 1 chest. So the gate's locked, but the chest is unlocked. Just rat your ass through there. Free high AP chest, right? So awesome. Just awesome. Box breaking speed record, man. People always say Barb is the best because it can break boxes super fast. You can get all this extra AP. Action speed bear is way faster. Maybe not way faster, but it's fucking fast, man. You can break boxes and doors and all kinds of stuff extremely quickly with a Druid. So you have the benefits of Rogue, you have the benefits of Barb, you have the fastest PvE clear time in the game, other than maybe a Warlock that's pulling an entire module. Where's the downsides? Okay, so next up we got Treant. The Treant is a lifesaver. You can trap different mobs in doorways and cheese around them with the Treant. It's really good in PvP. You can box people in, trap people in doorways. It's just generally good. The downside of Treant, though, is it can steal your kills. If it gets the last hit on a mini-boss or something, you lose the AP for that. If it kills a player, when you loot them, it's going to take longer for the wheel to spin before you can access their inventory. So that's the downside of Treant. I hope they fix that. I hope they change that. Another benefit of Druid, you have high magical interaction speed. So opening portals is extremely fast. Opening portals is really, really good AP. Also, shrines. So when you're running around, accessing shrines gives you 10 AP per access. So running buff duration on yourself is generally good as a Druid to begin with. Then you go get shrines. There's certain modules that have like all 3 shrines in them. You know what I'm talking about. There's one in Hell. There's the one on Crypts that has like 4 shrines on it. So if you have high buff duration, you can pick up these damage ones or these speed ones and just boost your clear time. Plus you're getting AP. Super, super good from an efficiency standpoint. And then spawn rushing. If you're the type of person that likes PvP and you want to go PvP, you've got Gob Caves, you've got Castle. Both of them are super, super efficient for spawn rushing. Eventually I'll make a guide on how to do it. But you have the benefit of being able to just rush an enemy player before they've even cleared their first module and kill them. My fastest kill in High Roller was 26 seconds into the round. 16 seconds, I was on top of the player, and by 26 seconds, they were dead. No other class in the game is even close to that. For AP, min-maxing, and inventory management, small treasure is going to be your priority. Ryan's video talked a lot about this. He'd do a better job of explaining it than me, but you want small treasure. Gear, like player equipment, is worth 2 tiers below it of the same size. So if I have legendary boots that I stole from somebody, they are rare equivalent, because you go down 2 tiers. You go down epic and then you go down to rare. If you have an epic that you took off somebody, this would be worth the equivalent of a green pot of treasure, right? A green vase or vase or whatever. So killing players can actually yield you quite a bit of AP if you do it effectively. Uniques are BIS. So right now the big thing is these silver tokens. If you want to do AP farming, these guys will fill your inventory. Don't worry about splitting them. These are just super, super good to have. Make sure you bring a pick. You can make great money unless you're doing the ice map. Having a pick is really, really good if you want to just keep your cash flow going. I cannot tell you how much money I made selling ruby silver. Is ruby silver mining the most efficient AP thing to do in Hell? Probably not, but sometimes you'll get to the point where you're at the end of a module, you've cleared 1 or 2 or even 3 modules, you're about to extract, you have a little bit of extra time, and you'd have to go way out of your way to keep clearing and keep getting AP. So you just have the time to get the ruby silver. And if you're trying to keep gear sets going and you want to have like really good gear for your runs, because who doesn't, ruby silver farming is such a reliable and easy and fast way to make money. You also get a bit of AP when you do it. You get AP only on the first chunk of ore that you pull off. Every subsequent ore is not worth it. Gold itself is worthless, so some guys bring gold bags in. I would only do this if you're broke and you're trying to min-max and get more gold out of the runs, but generally pulling out actual gold is worthless. Always open up blue portals. You can easily jump across the map to other blue portals and open those as well. So one of the best ways to actually get AP, I think you get 15 AP per blue portal that you open, and they come in stacks of 3. That's extremely good AP. That's 45 per 3 stack. That's the equivalent of killing 2 mini bosses. So what I'll do, especially on certain Inferno maps, is I'll clear 3 modules, and then I'll go as soon as portals pop in 1, I'll open all 3, and then I'll just go to the far module, and then I'll open all 3 there, finish my run there, and extract. That's a huge amount of AP that you can get by just playing the portal game. All right, guys, let's quickly talk about maps. I'll try to make this pretty concise, but this will probably be one of the most useful parts of the video for you guys. First thing we're going to talk about is Crypts. Crypts number 2, favorite map. Best map for Druids, just across the board. A couple different benefits. I'm going to read off some bullet points, then I'm going to go through modules. Number 1, has 2 different layers, plenty of different mini bosses. You have Ruby Silver Farm in Hell, Wraiths can't hit you when you're in bear form. Portcullises and gaps, especially in like Foursquare, can make really easy cheese spots on many bosses. You can 2-tap almost any mob in the game unless it's like a nightmare version of a mummy. Player spawns are incredibly predictable. What I mean by that is generally they spawn 1.5 modules away. So if I spawn Center Bridge, there's gonna be somebody in Mummy Lair, so I can just quickly rat through the tunnel, jump through this door here, and then be on top of this guy before he's even done clearing his module. So spawn rushing, super predictable here. Another benefit is if you're not into the PvP aspect of the things and you're just trying to grind, it is a huge map, so it's very easy to avoid other players if you want to. You're going to see a lot more melee players on this map, so things that you counter like Barbarian, Fighter, that type of stuff, you'll see them more on this map. On ice maps, on like Ice Cavern, you're going to see a lot more casters, so some downsides here. We've got tons of traps on this map, so map knowledge is pretty important. You'll die as a rat and stuff like that if you don't know what you're doing and where you're going. The bosses in Inferno are not worth soloing, so if you go down to Inferno, you're not going to be able to kill any of these bosses with any kind of relative speed or efficiency, so it's generally not worth killing them. Another downside is some spots are really hard to fight in, so I'll talk about both maps here, all the different modules really quickly. I know it's a lot of information. We'll talk about Crypt number 2. Crypt number 2, favorite map to fight in as a druid. My bread and butter is this top set of modules going down to Magic Library, and then just generally this section of the map. This long bridge is a super good place to bear bomb people and chicken jump and fight unless you're fighting like a wizard with the high ground. This is such a good place to spawn rush and fight in. Pushing to the right here, Twin Cemeteries has this little tunnel that you can use to go in and out of rat form. There's double res here, and there's often somebody that spawns here. In the guard post room, you've got the wraith that you can kill. You can also turn into a rat and go into any of these jail cells and get free high value chests, and then you can go up onto these top steps here once the module is clear of all the archers, and you can just chicken jump, and there's this big old ring that goes along the top of this module that you can sit in as a chicken if you need to hide from somebody or if you want to try and ambush somebody. This top right module has some of the best loot in the game. You've got the coffin that's behind the bookcase, you've got the skelly champ down here that you can clear, plus another lion's chest, 2 lion's chests sometimes underneath, and then you can also chicken jump from the spawn all the way over to this platform here, and then you can also, bear bomb on people, and you've got the Hell Shrine in case you fuck it up, or if you need to reset after a PvP encounter, and then you have a really quick access to the Wraith right afterwards if you want to do that. So super good string of modules along the top part of the map here. Once I'm done with that, I'll typically go down the hallways, pyramid, and chapel. Hallways has the 3 portals that you can generally open to get a bunch of free AP. Then on the way to chapel, you can clear out all the bats, which is another huge chunk of AP. Then you've got your portals that you can open here, and you can go into hell. Try to avoid fighting in the chapel. Chapel is a terrible place to fight as a bear. You can fight along the outside ring and then chicken jump across and then fight in this area too, especially if you break the door. But the center area with all the pews is a terrible place to fight as a bear. Just avoid it. Catacombs, you've got this lion's chest hidden in the middle. If you access from the right side, you've got this hell portal right here. Cistern, you generally want to avoid, but you can chicken jump all the way across to the special chest if you want to use it there. Dark Magic Library, you can come in here and you can sit along this top center area here and chicken bomb and drop an bear firebomb people all the time. Mummy chest, you have a good chest in the middle that you can unlock. You can jump up on the side of the platform, use your spear, and just cheese all the mummies. Mummies are one of the only things that can hit you for a huge amount of your health, even in bear form. Maze, just avoid it like the plague. Gated rooms, you can go through as a rat if you need to, and then you also have the secret connector underneath. Dark Priest, you have an access to hell in here, so sometimes you can catch players off guard by either going as a rat through the tunnel, and then you don't even need to break the wood, but you can just squeeze through the side. And then there's on the south side of this hell room, like if you're in the room with the hell portal, on the south side there's a gap in the wall through like a couple different bricks. You can jump into rat and then come through and really catch people off guard right here. The armory, avoid it like the plague. You don't want to fight there. Mummy room is super good because you have these long sweeping hallways. Anything that has long distance open space for you to chicken panther jump is super good to fight in as a druid. So you can spawn rush whoever's in this corner here, generally get some really good kills. You can rat through all the portcullises and all the gates here. You can rat through these tunnels here with the pots to avoid having to actually break them. You have multiple hell shrines down here that you can play off, which are really good. You have the chicken jump spot, so you can jump up onto this wall right here and check into this module to see if anybody's doing it. You can also ambush people by dropping a spear onto them right there. You can even go the other way, so you can go from this staircase up to this wall, and then if you're good, you can chicken jump panther dash over and actually come in right here. So if you spawn down here, you can go up the steps and then quickly rush over and kill mummy layer. So if you spawn here or you spawn here, you can quickly rush and spawn kill that guy. You have the Skelly Knight that spawns in this room here, so the only time I'm ever down here is if I'm clearing this. Generally, you don't want to avoid it. You want to avoid crypt dungeons. There's too many traps. There's too much bullshit here. You don't want to fight there. And then coffin rooms, generally you want to avoid them. There is the little gates like at the guard post that you can go through and get free loot. Bottom left, you generally want to avoid. There's some portals here that you can get for free AP, but generally you want to play towards the middle, towards chapel, towards pyramid, and this top string of modules. Best map in the game for druid. My favorite map. Super good. Other Crypts maps. This one's a lot rougher. Generally, you want to avoid the entire bottom row. Just fuck off. Don't even go down there. Treasure room is probably the worst spawn in the game for druid. There's not enough room to fight here. So what I'll do is I'll generally spawn here and I'll push all the way north and I'll spawn rush whoever's in this top corner. If you spawn here, you can push all the way down these long sweeping hallways as a panther and chicken and close huge distance super fast. And then you can just go chicken and jump through all these different hallways here. Grab a lion's chest if you want to. And then you can catch these guys most of the time in this room here. If you catch them in the room, you can push into the room, turn into a bear. You have a pretty good open space that you can fight in. There's a hell shrine or a protection shrine there that you can use to reset if you need to. And then I'll push west. I'll go all the way along this top module here. I'll try to skip most of this crap. I hate fighting sewers, skeleton rooms, just avoid them. Altar room is a really good place for you to fight. So if you spawn in Sanctum, push north. If you spawn up here, push west. Push to this top left corner. Most of the time it's not going to be clear. If you do it early in the round, it takes a long time for any player to kill, multiple elite skeletons plus a crossy plus 2 archers plus another crossy plus bats plus spiders. It takes a long time to clear this module, and it's a really good place for you to fight as a druid. If you're a panther and you're in this little hallway here, you can jump into chicken, go into this secret room here with the lion's chest, and then you can jump chicken into this one. You can also rat through this tunnel here without having to break pots, and then you can rat through the portcullis and rat through all the doors and windows, and there's a whole bunch of different rooms and stuff that you can use in this module to fight really effectively. Another really good PvP spot for you is Sanctum. So you got these long sweeping hallways with shrines and the buffs and all the different things that you can use to give yourself an edge. So if I spawn here, I'll typically pick up shrines and I'll push north to Death Hall. I'll beta fight here and then pull them down into Swamp. Swamp is also a super good place for you to fight. Most people don't think about this, but as a druid, you have all these spiders inside the tower here. As you roll the small heal on yourself if you're low, and then you dream fire the spiders. Your heal is based on targets hit, like number of targets, with additional healing per target. So you just dream fire like 5 spiders at once, you get 60 plus health back. You have 150 health. That's a 30 your health bar immediately. Just boom. Two dream fires and you're topped up to full. And you can do that super fast. This is an extremely good room for you to PvP in as a druid. Bottom left part of the map, just stay away from it. Yeah, so all this crap, just stay away from it. Storeroom, you generally don't want to try and clear yourself. You struggle as a bear to clear archers. You struggle to clear mages. So just avoid it. If it's already clear, this is a pretty good room to PvP in. And then the vault, you've got the multiple bosses, the big loot in there, and then four corners That one has the portcullises that you can cheese these bosses in, so if you're not comfortable fighting bosses, you can drag them up here and then stab them through the gate. And then this cage here, I only go there if I have like a dead lobby and I just want to put an extra AP. And then you've got the hell exits. Generally all 3 hell exits are towards the middle of the map. Most of the time I'm taking cliffs. This is also a really, really good room for you to fight in because you've got double jump, you have access to all these different locations and flanking routes and all kinds of crazy shit you can do. It's also super fun as a druid to just absolutely fuck people in this room. So that's Crypts. And then when you go down to Inferno, you got 2 different options. You got Inferno 1 and you got Inferno 2. Both have positives and negatives. Generally what I'll do is I'll push to a room that I'm comfortable clearing. You can cross the middle module, doesn't matter what the boss is, as long as you don't fuck up your chicken jump. If you fuck up your chicken jump, certain bosses will spawn on you and kill you. Like Ghost King has a chance to teleport onto you while you're opening your door if you fuck it up. So if you fuck it up, you might want to turn around, go back to the door that's already open, and then wait for your cooldown and attempt to recross again. But you can cross any module. One thing to know when you're in Hell is that the other players that come into Hell will spawn opposite you. So if you spawn in ritual rooms, you know somebody spawned in waiting room. If you spawn in blood columns, you know that somebody spawned in demon layers. So what I'll generally try to do is I'll try to clear 3 modules. So in this situation on this map, I'll try to clear the bottom 3 modules if I spawn down there, and I'll try to get 2 portals. So I'll clear, it doesn't matter which side I spawn on. So if I spawn in blood columns, I'll clear this, and then I'll try to clear this. Wherever I'm at the time, when the portals pop, I'll open all 3, and then I'll push back to the other side, open those ones, and then I'll pick up a few more mobs if I still have time, and then I'll get out. If I have ruby silver in the module where I ended up finishing, I'll mine that, because that's tons of money that you can just basically print. And yeah, that's the general guide for Inferno. All right, let's talk about Ice Cavern. I'm going to read some bullet points, and then I'll talk about the modules themselves. So it's extremely mob dense. Extremely high strength here on this build can lead to some of the highest mob clears in the game because you're one-tapping weak enemies like kobolds. You can easily box out all the giant mini-bosses as a bear to get super fast AP. Almost 0 traps on the map, making ratting in this map super easy. You can see the only spike traps on the map are up in this cave pathway, and they're all together, so it's super easy to avoid those. So navigating as a rat is super easy. Just watch Spud Hunter's video. You know, certain mobs like yetis and mummies and stuff can't hit you, so you can drag them across the map. Just practice in normal lobbies dragging a bunch of mobs onto other players and watch them struggle. It's really fun. It's a really good way to learn the map. It's a really good way to learn how to rat and get comfortable playing Druid. Double jump gives you access to all kinds of chests and other things that other classes don't even have access to. So like dual caverns, there's a chest in there that you can double jump up to. This little platform right here underneath my cursor, you can drag all these mini bosses in the area to that area and just spear them from the top of it. So there's a whole bunch of different ratty spots, especially down where the hell entrance is. This watchtower room, the sanctum, you can chicken jump across. There's so many different places where you can just be a rat, be a druid, and get value that other classes can't. So it's really fun map to play as a druid. The rest of the modules are pretty good. It's the hardest PvE in the map, so mobs like the Wendigo on the Ice Abyss and the Demon mini boss can really mess your shit up if you don't feel comfortable. Learn some cheese spots before you actually attempt them, because you can still make a ton of AP without actually killing mini bosses and going down here, because most of the Wendigos you have to like pull a lever to activate them. They don't just like spawn on you. There's a couple that are out in the open, but most of the time you have to like break something or pull a lever or something like that to actually start the encounter. It's the newest map as well, so another downside is the learning curve. If you're coming back from previous playtests, you might not have even played this map before, so you're going to take some time to actually like figure out how the map works. This map also has the highest buy-in. Most people don't talk about that for some reason. They're like, this is the PvE map, this is the one you do. I hope you fucking don't mind bashing your head against the wall and playing one map over and over again. No, guys, I can't do that. So like, one downside of this map is it's the highest buy-in. You have to actually put in more work, kill more things before you turn a profit. And if you're on a losing streak, that's painful. Sometimes it's up to 200 AP extra over like gob caves or something. So you're going to just feel that pain, especially at higher ranks. And last but not least, we got the Goblin Caves. So this is the most PvP-centric map. If you're really good at PvP, you can make really good AP on it. So I think I'm one of the only guides that encourages PvP on your AP grind, with a huge caveat of like, if it makes sense, if you're good as well, because farming players for AP is really, really good. Those players are farming treasure. You know, if you kill them late in the round, they're full of loot. They also probably have pretty good gear on. So if you have a scuffed round, or you spent the entire round chasing a warlock or something, and you kill a player at the end of the round, he can be a huge AP come up for you guys. Also, killing a player is roughly the same as killing 10 mobs, depending on their rank. So you'd be surprised how easy it is to get AP from killing players, and how much that can rack up to like 200, 300, 400 AP per round. And then there's also a bunch of people that just don't fucking want to PvP. Like, they're like PvE bobs that think that they can get the highest rank in the game by not doing any PvP at all. They'll just like stand there. And to me, if I can kill you in one hit, it literally takes me a few seconds to walk over to you, right click your head, get a bunch of AP, loot your body, and then go back to do what I was going to do. It's like the freest AP of your life. Just take every advantage you can get, make your grind easy, kill people like that. The other benefit of Goblin Caves is it's the cheapest buy-in. Right, it's it's one of the best maps that you can learn how to play Druid on. It's extremely friendly for playing Druid. There's not many places on the map that have low ceilings or difficult to fight in areas. There's tons of ratty like elevation places for you to go. You have some of the fastest mob clear in the game because this map was designed to be soloed. So the mobs have low health, the goblins have low health. You can right click the red goblins and one tap them. So you have some of the best mob clear in the game. You can go like in mid, just do a ring around the rosy, pull all the mobs, and then just right click and just like cleave with your bear and just fucking make tons of AP doing that. So don't be afraid to grind AP on this map. The other thing is, since it's meant to be soloed, you can do bosses. So like Cyclops and Troll, if you're good enough to do them and you have a somewhat of a dead lobby, or if you're just feeling gutsy or you want to make money, take the time, go kill them, especially if you can weave in bear hits. It goes super fast. Centipedes and Skelly Champs are all over the map. These are really easy to kill. Centipedes take like 30 seconds because they do the stupid poison crap. But if you drag a bunch of mobs to them, then you have other things that you can hit. You can really see how like being hyper efficient works really, really well on this map. You can spawn rush extremely quickly on this map. My fastest player kill on this map was 26 seconds into the round. I spawned here at Cave Altar, jumped through the door, went under the wood, found this guy. He was like still killing mobs. I killed him in 10 seconds. Super, super fast. People don't expect it. As a druid, you can do all kinds of crazy shit like that. Another benefit of this map is basically all the doors have holes for ratting. Centipedes are basically everywhere. This is the easiest PvE map in the game. It's the least gear intensive. It's the most noob beginner friendly. It is the PvP map, so expect people to be just hunting other players, expect to get spawn rushed. But as a druid, you should be able to get away from most of that stuff. So this is a really good map to learn on. One downside is people understand this map really well. So if you don't know the map yet and you do get lost, there's a chance that people will still catch you as a druid. So just take the time to study, figure out what is what, where is where. And then one other downside is there's no hell. So you don't get the AP benefit of going down into hell. You don't get the extra round to go collect the gear, loot, and stuff like that. So you won't see the crazy huge AP numbers. But that's not necessarily a downside. What I would do, especially if we're learning Druid, is start on this map, get good with Druid. Once you're good with Druid and you know this map, especially if you've been, engaging in PvP, the other maps will be cake. This is the most PvP focused map, so you go onto Crypts and stuff. A lot of times people don't even want to fight you, so it's just smooth sailing. And then when you're at the lower AP ranks, even if you die, it's not a big deal. Like, the penalty is so low, and this is the least gear intensive map, so I would definitely learn how to play Druid on this map if you're... Let's talk about gearing. So this is what a typical loadout would look like if I was going in to do High Roller. This is a very expensive kit, several thousand gold. I think I spent 3,000 to 4,000 gold. And if you're just new or learning or just trying to be cheap about it, you can definitely make budget versions of this. Generally, you want to be above, I'd say 45 strength would be like the lowest that I'd go. 57 strength would be like a full Lego and everything set, not including uniques. But 50 strength is a very, very good spot. The way that you can tell if you don't have enough strength is if you go into hell on Crypts, or if you're fighting black skellies on, or just nightmare skellies, I guess, on any map. If you can't two-shot a nightmare skeleton as a bear, you do not have enough strength. I wish I knew the exact number that you needed. 50, you should be safe. But if you don't have enough strength to two-shot those mobs, you're going to have a really, really tough time in hell. So make sure that you can two-tap any mob with your bear by just having a fuck ton of strength. So your stat priority is pretty similar to what you would want for PvP. You want strength, and then you want action speed. So this is what a typical loadout would look like. I only care about max health on my spear. You will use this for PvE. You'll use it to cheese some bosses in some spots, especially while you're learning. But don't stress too much if you don't have a super good spear. This is one thing you can cheap out on. Same with the Rondel Dagger. I run the Rondel Dagger now because it is less movement speed penalty than the Crystal Ball. And when you're dual wielding, it goes off of whichever has the bigger penalty. So this is -15. This is -10. The -10 does not apply, so that means my movement speed with these two out is -15, which is fine with me. You want the Crystal Ball because of the knowledge benefit, and the additional weapon damage and all that other stuff is great, but it's really the knowledge benefit, and then memory capacity bonuses allow you to have all of your spells unlocked every single time. Doesn't matter the map, same basic spells. You have all 3 heals, you have Treant, and you have Dreamfire. For perks, I never ever change the perks at this point. I've seen other people run natural healing for just AP farming. If they run away from every single PvP encounter, and that's your plan and that's your intention, natural healing is really, really good. For AP grinding, you could even swap it out for Dreamwalk. You run the risk of dying to rogues and things like that, but Dreamwalk has saved me in a lot of PvE situations from just being able to walk through mobs. Like when you get cornered by like black spiders, they'll like bump you up into a corner or something, and if you have like a Thanos skeleton or some nightmare skeletons on you, there's a good chance you die. Dreamwalk can save you in those situations. But if you want to run natural healing, be my guest. I'm not a huge fan of it for PvP. I'm not a huge fan of it in general, but some people do like it. There's a lot of people that left like angry comments like, "You don't understand, man. Let's break it down," and their arguments fall flat. Anyways, so continuing the gear. Again, we're just stacking strength, we're stacking attack speed. Instead of dexterity, like I recommended before, I've now been started to stack vigor. And the main reason being 1 vigor equals 4 health in a bear form. So if you can get strength with vigor attached to it, it just makes you super tanky. If you don't want to run Grim Smiles because they're too expensive, one alternative, you can just do Rings of Courage, legendaries. Because Grim Smiles are a thing and Grim Smiles are generally better, you can get Rings of Courage really cheap. They're under 400 gold generally, and you can even get pretty good rolls on them for cheap. This is under 500 gold. It's got action speed. It's got almost a max roll on it. So if you're running on a budget, or if you just really want to get more strength out of your build and get closer to that BIS level for strength, the Rings of Courage are a really good budget-friendly option. But if you're running Grim Smiles, you generally want action speed and max health. If you can get magic resistance on your gear, it just makes it so that your bad matchups are a little bit easier. You have an easier time getting away from things like wizards and stuff like that. That's your gear. From an equipment perspective, I run decent magic protection pots. I run the basic healing pots. I run a luck pot if I'm doing a map that has hell on it, because I have enough money that this doesn't really impact me financially, and it just makes your treasure finds a little bit better. I run a surge kit because they just got a huge buff, and I run a green campfire kit because this will actually reset all of your spells, the gray one from the squire, and then the pickaxe. As well, I run green ale. If I'm getting in PvP, I'll use this. If I know I'm not going to get in PvP, or if I'm not worried about it at that point and I need to clear a mini boss like super fast, if I'm clearing like a Nightmare Berserker or something and I'm just going to box him out with my bear, that 6 extra strength makes a huge difference. It adds like 40 damage per swing. So chug that. It'll up your clear time on those PvE mobs, make it a little bit less dicey when you go toe-to-toe with the more dangerous ones. And then Explosive Bottle. This is specifically for killing other druids. I'm not throwing it at anything else. I'm going into fights against other druids. I've never lost to a druid. It's a humble brag, I guess. I've never once died to another druid in any game mode. So Explosive Bottle is super good at killing rats when they go rat form. And I'll talk more about the 1v1 situation later, but this is a specific rat killer and nothing else. All right, so let's quickly talk about which classes you should fight in PvP and which classes you should not fight in PvP. I think I'm one of the only build guides out there that's recommending PvP, but it's extremely situational. I realize that it's risky. If you're not super comfortable on Druid yet, you're still learning, and you don't feel confident, just don't take the fights. If you are confident, or if you're even pretty good at PvP, there are some classes in the game that you absolutely hard counter the shit out of. some of them, let's talk about them here. Number 1 is fighter. If you see a fighter, you always want to take that fight, especially if they're PDR build. You'll just mop up slayers. Most of the time they're running falchions and daggers, so you'll just mop a slayer, no problem. If they're running heavy PDR, the only thing you need to worry about is longsword. If you fight somebody with a longsword, you want to just left click with bear until they attack you. They're going to have a really hard time parrying your left click. You'll get a bunch of free damage in. Eventually they'll realize, I can't parry this. They'll try to attack you with their longsword, then you right click them. That's it. That's how you beat fighters. You'll win that trade every time. Barbarian, super meta right now. A lot of people just go play this. It's super fast. It's the best AP grinder. So you'll see a lot of these guys. You hard counter the shit out of them. I only died to 1 Barbarian the entire season while I was grinding my AP, and it was because I royally fucked up. It wasn't because he outplayed me. It was because I outplayed myself. The way that you deal with Barbarians is very simple. If they're throwing things at you, soak it as a bear. If they win a trade with you, turn into a rat, reset your health, go back in. If they commit to you and fight with you, just fight them back as a bear. Your right click will knock them out of range most of the time. Bardiche is probably the scarier weapon. Maybe even Zweihander would be the scarier of the 2 weapons to see. If they're using a felling axe, it's basically a free kill. You'll bop them out of range. You'll win that trade every time. They're gonna run away. They have their meta right now is speed. They need to run coprolites. They need to run light armor. They need to basically be naked to catch people and then connect with huge damage, which means they're actually a glass cannon. They're a glass cannon with a lot of health. Luckily for you, you hit for a shit ton of damage. They come to you. It's super nice fighting barbarians. They will make you rich if you're competent. Rogue, another one that you definitely want to take. You hard counter them. If you're in bear form and you have gear on, they have to stab you like 10 times. Not even exaggerating. Like 10 times to kill you in bear form. You have to right click them once. So if they've hit you 5 times and you're getting low, just run away. They have pretty weak range. They might hit you with a lucky crossy shot or something if you're in chicken or rat form running away, but just go through a door, roll a heal or 2 on yourself, and then re-engage. Try to bait them away from doorways. Dreamwalk counters them. You can trap them. The way that I kill most rogues is I bait them into a situation where they think they have the advantage, and then I tree at the door, or I wall the door, and then I just bully them when they come in, and I kill them in 1 hit. So rogues, again, another thing, you're not going to see them super often. Most people aren't doing AP grinds on rogues. You'll see them in gob caves more than anywhere, but they're a really easy fight for you to take in High Roller. Cleric's a pretty easy kill. I have other videos explaining how to deal with clerics in detail, but in short, you play around their cooldowns. If they pop smite and it sounds like the big M1 grand ka-ching, just run away from it. Just go into rat form or cat form or whatever and kite it out. Wait 5 seconds and go back in. You will win that fight every time. If they're a speedy boy magic damage cleric, they're going to hit you pretty hard. Just roll your heals, soak 1 or 2 hits, dodge it, be a rat. Don't go into rat form, but be annoying, be slippery. Once they've cast 3 or 4 of their spells, they're basically dry, and you can go in. They're not going to have enough time to get heals out while you're right-clicking them as a bear, so you can connect. They're one of the only classes in the game that has less range than you, so don't be afraid of these fights. You play their cooldowns and you win. Another fight that you want to take is Druid. This is only a big caveat of if you're good with Druid. I've never, another humble brag, I've never ever lost to another Druid, which I'm pretty proud of. But the way that I do that, I have a couple different tips. Number 1, I try to bait them into situations where they chase me in cat form. I'll go into a rat, I'll make myself look weak, I'll encourage them to chase me as a panther. Once they commit or they get too close, I'll just turn into a bear, right-click them, and kill them in 1 shot, because they lose 30% of their health, and I gain an insane amount of health and attack power. Another thing is the Molotov cocktail. You can throw that to kill rats. Another really good thing some tips for fighting druids. Don't chase them through doorways. If they go through a window, do not follow them. Just turn into a bear and break that door if you can, or manually open it. What I do is I will rat through a window, and I'll just pull out my Molotov and I'll sit there. And if the druid is stupid enough to fly through the window as a rat, it's a free kill. Other people will sit there and they'll try to spear you, they'll try to hit you, they'll try to dreamfire you when you come through. So don't be stupid and follow a druid through a door. Druids are hyper aware of how the door tech works and how windows work and how rat works. So why would you tempt fate there? Just, don't play their game, play your game. Lull them into a false sense of security or superiority by playing rat, by playing chicken, by playing, if they get a single hit on you, they might think that they have the advantage there. And then when you're in bear form, whoever attacks second generally lands the hit. So when you're in bear form, if you right-click, your body rears up. Your hitbox actually goes backwards. People don't realize this. Test it with like a rogue friend. Have him like stabbing you in the chest, and if you right-click, he'll miss, even though he's right up against you. So when you're fighting another bear, if you right-click, your hitbox goes backwards. So if they're attacking first, you move your hitbox back. Think of it like a basic skeleton, where you bait the attack and then go in. That's how you win bear versus bear fights. Right? Unless your attack speed, unless your action speed is like insanely high, that's how you deal with them. And then bards. Bard is another one that you probably want to take the fight for. Good ones will kite you forever with a survival bow. Most of them don't have the damage to knock you out. They have to keep their range most of the time, which gives you time to get a reset in cover if you need to. Most druids, or most bards, will get cocky as the fight goes on. They're generally pretty good players. This can be a difficult fight for you, given whatever the situation is. But they will get cocky because they're going to have a survival bow. They're going to be hitting you a bunch of times. And when somebody hits you 8 times with a bow in this game, there's something mental that that the normal player goes, they got to be low. Like, they got to be fucking low. This bear has got to be. I just hit him 8 times. I'm geared. He's definitely low. And then they'll get cocky, they'll overcommit, and they'll get mopped. I'll put a clip on screen of some guy doing this to me in full bis. With bards, it's all about fuck around, find out, bro. Like, you want to come in, you want to play my game, you're going to get murdered. If you don't play my game, you'll never kill me. So bards is another fight that I don't mind taking. I used to be super scared of these guys. I've gotten used to them. It's not that big a deal. Another fight that you want to take, Demonlocks. So if they're a Demonlock, means that they turn into a demon, they have a Chris Dagger, typically they have a heater shield. It's a really good fight for you to take because your knockback with bear form stops them from getting good value from their Chris Dagger, and you can outtrade those guys every single time. Those guys, they Unga Bunga, they play a lot like Barbarian. They just come in, they're like, oh, I'm in demon form. You have 2 options. You can either kite them out and make them take a bunch of chip damage, wait for them to transform back into a warlock, and then commit on them so they don't have any of their benefits, which pisses them off to all. You'll get angry PMs if you do that. Or you can just commit to them and box in demon form. Because if they're in their demon form, they are committed to the fight. You know that they will stay in the fight. And you will win that trade. You will win that trade every time. Demonlocks are fucking cake for you. Another thing that is okay that I would avoid. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about stuff to avoid. Our hard counters. Biggest one, Wizard. It's funny, it says the Almighty Sorcerer when they're not even sorcerers, and sorcerers are coming next. But Wizard is your biggest counter, especially a geared Wizard. You have almost no MDR on your build. Sometimes you can get it in off pieces and off rolls. Their entire design philosophy is insane burst damage, all magic damage, big AoEs, anti-rat to the max. Gameplay, just leave them. Right? Every time that I kill a wizard, I feel like I was extremely lucky, and I outplayed them. I have to do both. I have to outplay them and get lucky every time I kill one. It feels like the biggest uphill battle you'll ever face, and almost all of my deaths while climbing the ladder were to wizards. So don't just swallow your pride. They are your biggest counter right now. They are extremely strong. Just fucking leave them. Luckily, in solos, they're pretty rare, but just leave them behind. Warlock is another one that is okay. You know, they are killable now since they've been nerfed. The way that you fight these guys is a little bit counterintuitive. You can push with Dreamwalk, or you can push in cat form. It's okay to take a little bit of damage in cat form with a curse on you and stuff like that, but just make sure you don't get falchioned in cat form, otherwise you're dead. You push them. If you land a single hit or get close to even landing a hit, sometimes they phantomize. You just sit in cat form, follow them around, try to time your transformation and be in bear when they come out, especially if they have their melee weapon out. If they don't have their melee weapon out, you're safe to sit in cat form, wait for them to cast, dash, silence, and then you can murder them as a cat. Realize you don't do very much damage as a cat. Ideally, you want to get at least one hit in with your bear to lower them, to like really soften them up, and then you can finish with cat pretty easily. The longer the fight goes with these guys, the worse it is for you, obviously. So, you know, if you're running low on spells and it's kind of at a stalemate and you feel like you're pretty tapped on resources, realize this guy is not. He has way more than he is infinite. So just leave, go like 2 modules away and campfire, and then come back and fight him if you want. Realize that these fights typically do take a long time, unless you get really lucky, so they can ruin your round fighting warlocks. That's really the downside to fighting a warlock, is it takes fucking forever. So, you know, treat these guys with caution. You'll see a lot of these guys on Ice Cave. And then Ranger is the last one. So Ranger, a really geared good Ranger, is almost unkillable for you. You know, I did die to bear traps quite a bit, ironically. I understand the irony. Bear traps will fuck your shit up. They'll instantly kill you as a rat. Even if they're hugging the door, if you jump through as a rat, you'll die. If they have the knockback perk and they have rapid fire, it's an unwinnable fight for you. If you go bear form, you will get they'll land every single shot and you'll go flying. You will get knocked back so fucking far. Now, if you need to fight a Ranger, a couple different tips. Number 1, spawn rush. One of the only times that I'll actively choose to fight a Ranger is if I'm spawn rushing and I get to the guy before he's even cleared a module. If they haven't even cleared a module yet, there's a really low chance that they have a trap set up, and they definitely don't have places to kite to, and they don't have doors that they can shut in your face and different things that they can do to kind of kite you out. So when you're spawn rushing, these guys are a lot easier to deal with. They don't have all the space that they need to play the game the way that they want. Another thing that you could do is push with Dreamform. So as soon as you get hit, you know, just push up with Dreamform. What I like to do is I like to get into cover, roll all my heals on myself, chuck a health pot, and then run towards them and try to dodge while I gap close. And if I get hit, which you probably will, just sprint straight towards them in Dreamform. Just sprint towards, and as soon as you get it out of Dreamform, if you can Panther Dash to gap close, great. I like to save my Panther Dash for their reload, but your goal is to just close the distance if you have to fight these guys. If you can get away from them safely, generally these guys aren't really a good fight for you to take, but if you know they are killable under the right situation and the right circumstance. Just be extremely cautious. If they have the knockback, just fuck off. Just don't even bother recanting just for a sec. This is one of the only people that you might even want to fight with your spear. So keep that in mind. You do hit super hard with your spear. It's not like you're a weakling. You have over 50 strength most of the time. So you can still chunk people with the spear. Just, you know, be really cautious around these guys. They're a tough one.